And China and Azerbaijan's mutual visa exemption agreement has taken effect. The policy is expected to foster closer bilateral ties. CGTN Sabir Safarov has more from Baku.
Starting from Wednesday, ordinary passport holders from Azerbaijan and China can now travel between the two countries visa-free for up to 30 days per visit. The long-anticipated agreement is expected to boost tourism, businesses and people-to-people ties between Baku and Beijing. The deal comes just months after President Ilham Aliyev's official visit to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping in April, a trip that marks a new chapter in diplomatic ties, economic cooperation and cultural exchange. Both of the countries has demonstrated an increasing commitment to expanding bilateral relations, particularly as China continues its Belt and Road initiative, where Azerbaijan plays a strategic transit role. So how do people here feel about packing their bags for China without hassle of visa? Let's hear what some locals have to say.
Okay, as you know, previously it was extremely hard getting the visa to China, and considering the fact that the country has a huge history, heritage, the million points of visit, and UNESCO also points, but still because of the visa, so it was extremely difficult to get it, and that's why, considering again the number of tourists which approach us during that period, so we still cannot promote this country because of the visa issue. And right now we're like extremely happy that the visa has been rejected, and I'm more than sure so it will increase the number of tourists from Azerbaijan to China.
Since childhood, we have heard a lot about Chinese history and its landmarks. It's nice that we have visa-free access now. That's good since we can stay for 30 days and explore China by ourselves.
That's great news. Summer is here and I'm planning my next trip to China because it's so interesting. It's full of history. My wish is to visit the Great Wall and see it with my own eyes. The visa-free agreement comes just in time.
Oh, how nice news it is. So I had such plan actually to go there before, but because of visa issues I couldn't go. And now I can make it real very easily, so I'm very happy for that.
As the visa-free travel agreement for ordinary passport holders between Baku and Beijing starts, the new policy is not just about the travel, it's another sign of growing trust and cooperation. The number of Chinese citizens visiting Azerbaijan in 2024 nearly doubled compared to 2023, growing by 1.93 times. This January alone saw a 4% increase in overall foreign tourist arrivals year on year, with 87% of the 2,983 visitors from East Asia being Chinese nations. Furthermore, the number of Chinese tourists in January this year increased by 116% compared to the same period of the last year. So for Baku and Beijing, this is not just a stamp in a passport, it's a sign of deeper ties and rising general interests. Sabir Safarov, Baku, CGTN.
Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi also met with Uzbekistan's Foreign Minister Bakhtiyor Saidov. During their meeting, Wang Yi reaffirmed China's commitment to deepening ties with Uzbekistan, emphasizing strengthened cooperation under their comprehensive strategic partnership. Saidov praised China's leadership within the SCO and highlighted the importance of expanding collaboration in key areas such as trade, logistics, healthcare and education. Well, let's now go to Israel, where the Israeli military says it has bombed the entrance to the Syrian military headquarters in Damascus. The attack on the defense ministry in the capital comes as Syrian media reports Israeli troops struck Syrian government forces in the city of Sweida. More Syrian troops have been deployed to Sweida following deadly clashes which erupted between the Druze forces and local Bedouin tribes on Sunday. Sweida is near the border of Israel and Jordan and is home to a Druze majority which Israel supports. Israel says it is sending more troops to the border area over Syria's refusal to withdraw its troops. Let's get the latest from Jonathan Rigev in Tel Aviv and Haidar Kazwini in Damascus.
So what we're learning is that Israel is trying to perhaps appease or make sure that send messages to the current Syrian regime that the attacks on Sueda must stop. This is why the strike happened in Damascus. Over the past 24 hours, we've seen plenty of strikes, especially in the area of Sueda, as you said, not very far from the Israeli border in southern Syria. And Israel claimed quite some time ago, a few months ago, saying that it will not allow any military Syrian forces to advance to that area. Not only that, in Sueda, as you said, is a considerable Druze population, and the Druze population living in Israel, both in Israel proper and on the Golan Heights, is demanding action from the Israeli government, and we're seeing it happening over the past 24 hours with plenty of strikes in the area of Sueda, targeting many of the armored vehicles brought there by the Syrian army. And in the last hour, as you mentioned, an attack on the headquarters of the Syrian army itself, the general staff of the Syrian army, sending a clear message: Israel will not accept the presence of Syrian forces with such armored vehicles close to its border. That is one. And two, Israel will stand by the Druze minority. The Druze have quite complex relations with the current Sunni government in Syria, and Israel is sending a very clear message that it will stand by the Druze Syrian population, trying this way also to appease the Israeli Druze population. Some of them, some tens yesterday and some hundreds today, already crossed into Syria, trying to reach the area of the fighting, and the Israeli army bringing them back to the Israeli side of the border.
Actually, the intense fighting between the Druze militants and the Syrian new military are continuing for the third day in a row in the city of Sueda. Until now, the control map is like the Syrian military is controlling half of the city of Sueda, which is the provincial city where the majority of the Druze people live. Half of it have been controlled by the Syrian military. The Druze militants are trying to defend their positions in the southern side of the city right now. The Druze militants are taking the attack and retreat style in their fight because they cannot stand against the heavy weapons that the Syrian military is using against them. Heavy deployments actually are being deployed daily into the front line between Sueda and the province of Daraa in southern Syria. It seems that the situation there is not under full control of any of the both warring parties, but things seem more to be tending to the side of the Syrian military, as they have heavy weapons and they are using them against the Druze militants who have only light weapons. The Israelis' intervention since yesterday have changed a little bit in the equation of the fight there, because they cut the supply routes for the Syrian military, and they have also minimized the force that the Syrian military is using against the Druze militants.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has sent a message of condolence to Nigerian President Bola Tinubu following the passing of former Nigerian leader Muhammadu Buhari. On behalf of the Chinese government and the people, President Xi Jinping expressed deep condolences and extended sincere sympathies to Buhari's family, the Nigerian government and its people. Now, staying with Nigeria, former President Muhammadu Buhari has been buried in his hometown of Daura in the northern part of the country. At the funeral, family, friends and multiple heads of state paid a tribute to Buhari. CGTN's Wanja Mungai with the story.
Thousands flocked the streets of Daura town in northern Nigeria on Tuesday as they paid their last respects to former President Muhammadu Buhari, who died in a London hospital on Sunday.
We are in a grief. We are actually in a moment of grief, particularly those of us from this community. It's a great loss to us, It is a great loss to the nation. It is a great loss to the entire world. Baba can be remembered for his honesty, as he is popularly called Mai Gaskiya. Everybody will remember him as such.
A tight security detail accompanied the entourage leading to Buhari's family compound, where his body was laid to rest. Heads of states from Guinea-Bissau and Niger were among the dignitaries, along with Nigerian President Bola Tinubu and business mogul Aliko Dangote. Buhari served as Nigeria's military leader in the 1980s and then as president between 2015 and 2023. He made history as the first opposition candidate to defeat an incumbent leader when he won against the then President Goodluck Jonathan in the 2015 election.
We lost our most important person in northern Nigeria. We lost a Messiah, a guiding angel, a guardian to every individual in this country because of his principles, his integrity, his honor, and respect that everyone on the land gives him.
Buhari was a significant figure, especially among the Muslim community in northern Nigeria, where he earned a following for his crackdowns on corruption. However, the former Nigerian statesman was also criticized, as it was during his tenure when corruption and poverty levels deepened. He also admitted that he had failed to end an insurgency that plagued the north for decades, a promise he made when he was elected in 2015. Wanjamungai, CGTN.
And moving on to the southern part of Africa, and the Eswatini government has confirmed it is holding 5 foreign nationals deported from the U.S. in isolated prison units under a deal with the Trump administration. The inmates, convicted criminals from Vietnam, Jamaica, Laos, Cuba and Yemen, were sent to Eswatini after their home countries refused to accept them. Eswatini's acting government spokesperson, Tabile Midule, said the arrangement followed months of high-level talks with U.S. officials. The two countries plan to work with the International Organization for Migration to eventually repatriate the detainees. The IOM could not be immediately reached for comment. And here in Kenya, at least 3 soldiers have been killed and 7 others injured after their vehicle was blown up in the northeastern country of Lamu. The soldiers were on patrol along the Kiunga-Sankuri road on Tuesday when they ran over an improvised explosive device. According to the Kenyan Defense Forces, the wounded were evacuated to specialized military facilities. Lamu, near the Somali border, has been a target of attacks by Al-Shabaab militants. The region remains under a multi-agency operation aimed at flushing out the militants from Boni Forest and surrounding areas. Ethiopian authorities have arrested 82 suspected Islamic State insurgents accused of plotting attacks across the country. This is according to the state-affiliated Fana broadcaster. The suspects are linked to IS's Somalia affiliate based in Puntland, a semi-autonomous region. The National Intelligence and Security Service said it had been tracking the group's cross-border infiltration and efforts to set up sleeper cells in Ethiopia. Although smaller than Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab, IS in Somalia has expanded in recent years with foreign fighters and rising revenues. U.S. airstrikes and a Puntland military offensive since December have also targeted the group's strongholds. Now, African environment ministers have issued a resounding call for continental unity to tackle climate change, plastic pollution and loss of biodiversity during the 20th African Ministerial Conference on the Environment here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. CGTN's Daniel Arap Moy has this report.
African environment ministers are negotiating a political declaration to solidify Africa's common positions for upcoming global forums, including COP30 in Brazil and the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands taking place in Zimbabwe next week. They raised the alarm about the disproportionate impacts on